Hello everybody, and in this video I will be reviewing a Taxi Driver that came out in 2017 and it was directed by Jang-hoon. The story takes place in the 1980s when a German journalist hires a taxi driver to drive him to Gwangju. And without knowing what's going on there, the taxi driver gets shocked at the sight of all the riots and violent acts by the government in Gwangju. And then he finds himself in danger because the government start hunting down the German journalist and him for trying to film the truth. The movie is based on a true story that did happen in Gwangju, and all over the South Korea, protests were happening against the government and the widespread corruption and hunger. And all those protests led to the Korea's prosperity, and we can see the Korea that is now the prosperous, incredible country. And it wouldn't be the same without all these protests. But as with any other film that's based on a true story, there are some inaccuracies here and there in this film as well, like the fact that Jürgen, the German reporter, is the only foreign reporter in Gwangju, when in reality there were actually more. But I actually don't mind this change because it made Jürgen's character way more important in this film. His role is actually crucial because he's the only foreign reporter in there, which means that he's the only one that could broadcast the truth to the rest of the world. So you feel the weight of responsibility in his shoulders. I'm a bit sad to admit, but before this film, I didn't know about the Gwangju incident. So this movie was my first introduction to this dark part of South Korean history. But that's the beauty of cinema. It manages to teach you things and enlighten you and make you realize some stuff that you didn't know. Like this history I didn't know about, but because of this movie, now I know. And I'm glad I watched this movie because of that. However, throughout the entirety of the runtime of the film, not a single time does it try to explain the reason behind all the protests and riots, because I would think that this movie was trying to, shed the light on an incident that happened that maybe not everyone knew. And for people who didn't know, like myself, I wish they would have thrown a quick line in the dialogue at least so we would understand. The lead character, the taxi driver, Kim, is played by none other than Kang-ho, the amazing actor that if you've seen a couple of Korean films, you definitely know this guy. He is in a lot of films, and deservingly so. He's an amazing actor. Not a single time has he given a bad performance out of all the films I've seen. He's amazing, and once again in this movie, he shines. His performance makes this movie all the more better. His character is a captivating one, and the backstory behind this man and what's happened to him in his life actually makes him grow throughout this film. Now, I don't know how much of it is true with his family and everything, how much of it is actually accurate, because the taxi driver, Kim, he's kind of a mysterious personality. I say that because after the events of the film, the German reporter Jürgen was actually searching for his friend, the taxi driver. He searched for him for years and never got to find him, despite the fact that he really wanted to sit down with his friend once again. It's a very sad story, but yeah, he never got to meet the taxi driver once again in his life. And which is another sad fact that he never got to see this movie either. His wife, however, did see it with the president of South Korea back in 2017. I hope she liked it. A Taxi Driver is a very powerful story about working class heroes making a difference. The lead characters in this movie are the taxi driver, the German reporter, but also the civilians. With their combined efforts, they made a change. The German reporter and all the foreign reporters that were in Gwangju that weren't showed in the film, but they were there, they broadcasted the truth, showed it to the world, and that led to the change. So many people basically sacrificed themselves for the change. If you've seen the film, if you've researched about this, you know that the government was absolutely cruel. So many people died. It was basically a slaughter, a massacre. They would shoot, the police would shoot the innocent people, no mercy whatsoever. It was horrifying. So many families lost their relatives, and there are some very powerful scenes in this movie that actually made me cry. I couldn't hold my tears because of how horrifying it was seeing all of that happen. And it's just honestly heartbreaking, but at the same time, if not those protests back then, the Korea wouldn't be the Korea we know now. All the praise aside, I do have some problems with this film. This is not a perfect movie, so let's get into the negatives. The first negative is Jurgen's character. Despite the fact that his character had a lot of purpose and we were rooting for him, he was kind of underdeveloped and he was kind of the character in the back. The taxi driver is the true main character. Jurgen is kind of someone in the back that we see sometimes, and I wish that we would get to know a little bit more about him and he would have more of a role in the film. But he doesn't, he's kind of underdeveloped in the movie, so that was kind of an issue. My second issue with the film is that there are some scenes in the movie that feel out of place, feel just too fantastical, too unreal, and they are there just to be dramatic. And as I said in the beginning of this video, I have no problem with movies that are based on a true story having inaccuracies. That's inevitable. That's how you make a film. If you wanted to watch a documentary, you would watch a documentary, wouldn't you? But you watch a film that is always a piece of fiction, no matter what you do. That despite the fact that it's based on a true story, they're going to have some fictional parts, obviously, to get you entertained. And this movie is, by the way, entertaining. It is emotionally engaging, so those scenes are necessary. But there are some scenes in this movie that just go a couple of steps too far, and because of that, they feel a little bit out of the place. Actually, not a little bit, they feel completely out of the place. Like the scene towards the end of the film, which is a perfect example of what I'm saying. I'm not going to spoil it, by the way. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The scene about all these taxis driving, to do something towards the end of the film. That moment was just too unreal. I was just watching that movie, I was like, okay, this definitely did not happen. That scene, it's just straight out of an action film. It was definitely written by scriptwriters to make it more interesting, I guess. But by that point, I was already invested in the story. I was emotionally invested. I was completely into everything that was going on. So they didn't need that scene whatsoever. Overall, A Taxi Driver covers an important chapter of South Korean history and shows the cruelty that the civilians were subjected to and how, with the help of kind and honest people, there is a way to make a change in this world. I'm going to give A Taxi Driver 9 out of 10. So that is it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below, have you seen A Taxi Driver? If you have, what do you think about it? If you haven't, definitely check it out. It's a film that I really enjoyed, if you couldn't tell from my review, and I think you will too. Something I didn't mention in my review, but the cinematography of this film is also really good. There are some really good shots in the movie. So yeah, check it out if you haven't. And also links for my Instagram and Twitter social medias in the bio of this video. Also, what's in the bio of this video is a link for my playlist of all the South Korean movie reviews I've done so far. Check it out. Maybe you'll find a review on a movie you're interested in. So yeah, do that. And also, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. And if you don't want to miss my other movie and TV show related videos, subscribe to this channel. Bye.